Me and my mate Steve had a ZX Spectrum, Graham across the road had a Commodore 64, and Anthony 3 streets away had an Amstrad CPC. It was always hotly contested as to which of these best-selling home computers in the UK was the best. I always thought it was the Spectrum, purely because I knew more people that had one, and therefore I had access to so many more games than Graham and Anthony did. Graham's Commodore often blew my games out of the water graphically though, and although he didn't have as many games as me, it sometimes felt like quality over quantity. And then we'd go to Anthony's house where his computer came with his own monitor, and the visuals looked even more impressive in the very limited library of games that he had. So in this series we will look at a number of classic 8-bit computer games and compare the versions that each of these home computers had to offer. After a series of videos we should have a clear and undisputed winner, the 8-bit champion, the 8-bit home computer to rule them all. So what better way to start than one of my favourite games in the early days of 8-bit goodness. Originally written for the Atari 8-bit family and then ported to the Commodore, Datasoft's incredible platformer Bruce Lee was then published by US Gold and released on the Amstrad and ZX Spectrum. The game was an instant hit, mainly for the rather cool option of a second player playing as one of the bad guys who could decide whether to help or hinder Bruce Lee. So the rules are simple. We take each version of the game to the same screen and points are awarded out of 25 for each presentation, sound, graphics and most importantly, playability. So let's start with the first to be released for our trio here, the Commodore 64 version. So a really nice picture of Bruce Lee on the loading screen. Looks very good. Let's just get rid of these poked bits here on this version. That sounds nice. Quite a basic menu though. But yeah, that sounded really nice. So here we are in the first screen. And straight away it looks very much like a lot of Commodore 64 games did back in the day. They're sort of kind of muted, soft, sort of pastel-y colours. So there's Bruce just killing the ninja, and there's the green Yammo. So let's have a look at these guys and see what they actually look like. First off, let's have a look at Bruce. He looks pretty cool with his little gloves on. So let's get a bit of a close-up here. Yeah, nice big feet, but you can kind of make him out a bit. And there's the green Yammo, looking pretty cool in his little black trunks, his little sumo trunks. So let's just move through a few screens. We're going to try and get to the same screen on each go here, just so we can get more of an idea for each game what they look like. So let's try. So the kick's quite slow. So 2 kicks to knock him down. A little bit harder to 3 kicks for the Yammo. Get to the top of this ladder, you have to do an extra little jump just to get to the very top. But yeah, nice animation going up and down the ladder. Little falling at animation too. He's got a climbing animation, the green Yammo, but I don't think he climbs after you. So I think if you're up here and he's down the bottom, he won't come up to you. And you'll see whether that's the case in the other versions a little bit later on. The black ninja guy doesn't climb at all. But so he's here. So that he's shuffling across to get to me. And if I drop down and go back up again, he won't follow me. He'll just sit down there and wait. I do like it that they sometimes attack each other, which is quite good fun. Yeah, nice backdrop. Nice mountains. Quite muted colours. But quite pleasant to look at. Let's just get this last lantern and we'll drop down the hole. Oh, quite like that. You see the animation of the grid opening. Let's drop down here. It's quite a vibrant blue colour. Get a nice sort of swooshing sound as you kick. The green Yamo seems to make an interesting noise when he arrives as well. So he opens his mouth. Not sure if he's yawning or screaming. Let's get down here. Oh, he died. And then down this bit. Oh, interestingly, I dropped through the platform a little bit there. And this bit's a little bit different to the Spectrum version. You'll see that when that comes up. The Spectrum version's also got a different layout here. Whereas I believe this is the same on the Amstrad. Yeah, nice little climbing animation. That lantern turns black. I don't know why. Drop down. And then we'll go up again. And I somehow died. I don't know how. So we'll go up again. Interestingly, the ninja's just sitting there. Oh, I got stuck up here and I couldn't get down. But if I sort of got myself into the middle, I could have worked my way down a little bit. And that was quite frustrating. So yeah, it's fairly playable, not too bad. A little bit fiddly in places. That lantern changed colour as well. Oh, so they're coming to get me. Oh, that needs to die. The sound is not much to write home about. We get quite nice explosion sounds here, which is quite good. We blew him up. Oh, and we got our head chopped off as well by the laser beam. Let's just wait for them to come down and then try and blow up again. There we go. I don't know why I'm dying there. So yeah, this is the Commodore 64 version. It's quite nice. Very much looked like a Commodore 64 title. Graphically very pleasant to look at and not too bad to play. So here's the Spectrum loading screen. It's very nice. It's all going on there. You can see the Ninja and the green Yamo. And this is the opening screen. Again, nice sounding actually for the Spectrum. There's Bruce. Not as nice looking as the Commodore version, but I think the green Yamo, although white, looks pretty cool. Sort of, you can tell he's quite a large chap. And look when he falls, look. Looks pretty cool. I quite like that. You don't really see more defined than the Commodore 64 version. And maybe not as colourful in terms of a black background here, but still quite nice to look at. And if you hadn't noticed already, that was very quick to kill the bad guys there. You can kick much quicker in this version. It seems much more fluid than the Commodore version. And also the green Yamo guy follows you in this version, so he actually tries to come and get you. He can't jump, but he will follow you up and down ladders. But yeah, you can quickly kill him. And oh, they just killed me there. That's embarrassing. But it's much quicker. Like playing this straight after playing the Commodore 64 version, it zips along. So if I drop down here, he'll try and follow me. Straight away he'll try and get down. And I think he takes 4 hits and 2 hits for the little ninja. Anyway, let's move on. See, not a sliding door on this one, just a gap in the floor. Nice bright yellow lanterns. Lots of colours going on the screen. And with the black background and the black and white characters, there's none of the spectrum colour clash that can sometimes hinder its look and appeal. So yeah, I think this looks really nice. Nice animations as well. And this screen I think looks nice as well. Looks nice and clean. You can push them into the little laser or wherever it is there that kills them. And notice that this bit's different. So there are two beams on this bit, but you can just jump and get these lanterns without fear of dying. And this screen's different as well. See, there's knives at the top of the waterfall or conveyor belt, whatever it is, I'm not sure. No flashing lanterns here. But again, he'll climb up and he'll have a go. He'll normally climb too far though and end up stabbing himself on the top, but he does give it a go. But you just notice how much quicker I'm getting through these levels. It's just a lot more zippy in its gameplay. There's no explosion sounds here, so the Commodore 64 definitely had the better... Oh, I just died. The Commodore 64 definitely had the better sounds. But it seems a little easier to lure them to their death here. Come on, follow me, little man. There we go. And sometimes if he tries to kick you as well, he'll be paused enough to kill himself. So yeah, fall to my death here. That's the Spectrum version. Classic game, classic game. And let's move on to the CPC version. So similar loading screen as the Spectrum, the US Gold loading screen. Same kind of menu layout. Very nice sounding though. Again, all three games sound lovely on this this intro. But all three don't really have much of a exciting menu. And here we are. So to me this looks somewhere in the middle. So let's have a look at the characters. So there's Bruce, looks very much like the Commodore one, almost identical. And there's the green Yamo, which I think is better. He's better animated than the Commodore one. Look at him shuffle along. And I love his little, when he drops, his little face. But graphically I think this one sits in the middle of the two. So it's more colourful than the Commodore one. So it looks very much like the Commodore one with a grey background, but it has more of the colour of the Spectrum one. So it sits in between, I think. So I think graphically it's the better version. Now the green guy, as you'll see, is a lot harder to kill. Again, it's a slower kick like the Commodore version, not as fast as the Spectrum version. But how many times am I kicking him here? Oh, trying to kill him. His defensive punch is much better as well. It's definitely much harder. The jumping doesn't seem as responsive as well. I'm actually trying to go up the ladder here and I seem to be jumping left and right rather than up. And you have to jump twice when you get to the top of a ladder as well, which is weird. With the Spectrum version and the Commodore version, you only have to do that once. But you see, they've appeared down the bottom here. Now, once I get this one, once you get into trouble with these two, you've got to run away. I'll get this one. Hard to say. Now I need to run away a little bit and then get up here. They won't follow me. They'll just start fighting amongst themselves. The green Yamo doesn't even wait for you on the Commodore, the Amstrad version. He'll just waddle up and down. I did not want to do that. Let's get back up. They just do their own thing, which is interesting. You see that double jump I have to do. Anyway, let's get all these lanterns so we can get on to the next stage. But it doesn't feel like you can sort of, with the placement of the lanterns here, you can't sort of jump and get a bunch. Jump, jump, and jump again to get a bunch. It's kind of a little bit more awkward. But you know, you can chill up here and get these. But it's quite interesting that they didn't have that. It doesn't seem they decided to do more of the walking animation on the green Yamo on this Amstrad version, but they've done away with any animations of him when he climbs. So which is why you don't see him climbing anything. And he makes a sort of a great noise when he enters the screen as well. Sort of a roar, which is pretty cool. See again, very much like the Commodore versions, similar colours. And this layout's the same as well. See, so the beam is between the lanterns at the bottom. So you have to time jumping to get them, which I didn't do there. So we'll go again. Here we are. Get that. And get that. You see this screen is more like the Commodore 64 version with less knives at the top. And I died again. You see that when he climbs, you see him climb, then you don't see the back of him. He just stays in that side profile look. Maybe just different developers working on it, deciding to go different ways. I don't know. I don't know how it works with these developments of these games. Oh, for goodness sakes. I will get past this level. I'm on my last life here. You'll see what the next level's like. It's very red. They did away with the orange of the Commodore 64 version and went with a rather red version. As you'll see in a moment, as we drop down, look at this. The explosions are pretty crap as well. It's actually quite hard to kill them with the explosion. I would say this is probably the harder version of the three. It's definitely tougher to play, but nicer to look at. Managed to kill him. So difficult to kill them on explosions. It seems to just run past them. I'm going to try and punch him here. Killed him. So yeah, so that's the C64 version. This screen's very red as well. Pretty good. So before we find out who wins today, I just wanted to say that all three versions here are really good games. There isn't a poor version between them. They're all good conversions of the original Atari version. And when I did the scoring and tallied up the totals, there was only 2 points between the game that came first and the game that came third. So let's see where they came. So when we finish this, the top game that comes first will get 3 points, second will get 2 points, and third will get a point. So in third place on the Bruce Lee 8-bit battle was the Commodore version. Scored 14 points for presentation out of 25, 19 out of 25 for graphics, 12 out of 25 for sound, and 16 out of 25 for playability. So just lost out a little bit on the playability. Was a little clunky in places, but graphically really nice, and the sound was not very good for the Commodore, but the best out of these three. So that gave it a total of 61. And in second place, only 1 point better off than the Commodore version, so again very very close. But in second place we have the Amstrad version. Presentation 14, pretty much the same as the Commodore I thought on that front. Graphically though, much better than the Commodore version. As I said, it had more colour like the Spectrum version, but generally better graphically than the Spectrum version as well, so 22 on the graphics. Sound was just a little bit poorer than the Commodore version, but only just slightly, so I only gave it 11 for that. And playability was just slightly less than the Commodore version. Again, it was felt a little clunky compared to the Spectrum version, and sometimes getting up and down ladders and things was quite difficult, so it got 15 points for that. So in first place was the Spectrum version. Presentation, it lost 1 mark on the Commodore and Amstrad version on that. Again, the music though very very good on the opening screen, but not quite as good as the Amstrad and C64 version, which is fairly obvious most of the time. Graphically, I gave it the same marks as the Commodore version, but not as many as the Amstrad version, so we got 19 out of 25 for graphics, because I think the graphics are very good. They're very clear, very defined. The character sprites are not as good, but I think some of the other screen, or a lot of the screens do look better and clearer than some of the Commodore ones. Sound, I only gave that 10 out of 25. The sound's pretty poor. As I said, that opening screen sounds pretty good, and then it's just the odd dings and not much else really. So only got 10 out of 25 for sound. But where it featured heavily was on the playability. 21 out of 25. It's one of the most playable games you'll play on the Spectrum. It moves really really fast compared to the other two versions here, and the kicking and the jumping and everything is so much more precise, and it deserves to be much highly more awarded on the playability than the Commodore and the Amstrad version. So the Spectrum version wins our first 8-bit battle. Don't forget to subscribe and like this video if you liked it, and I'll do some more of these 8-bit battles and we'll see who comes out top. As always, thanks for watching, and I'll see you on the next one.